everybody. This is Jordan Gibson. I play Dark Star on Super Knocked Up, the web series, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of GenreTainment, right here on SciFiPulseRadio.com. We're your hosts, Marx
and Julie, and today we have a very special episode of GenreTainment, part one of an epic two-parter special with our coverage of LA Webfest.
In today's episode, we speak to the creative teams behind such award-winning series as the Canadian crime thriller Clutch, the London-produced supernatural satire series The Bloody Mary Show, food-themed comedy series Pairings, the post-apocalyptic western Drifter Broken Road, and the Ozarks-produced horror mystery Stage Fright.
Now, we had a great time chatting with all of them and hanging out with many of them throughout the festival. And I know there were a lot of web series out there, but was surprised after going to the festival.
Indeed, LA Webfest does an excellent job picking web series from all around the world. We saw shows from all over the US and Canada, plus shows from France, Italy, Australia, United Kingdom, Hong Kong, and more. It was great to see so many creators from around the world meeting up.
And let's not forget to mention that our web series, Reality on Demand, was screening at LA Webfest. Woo. And we also picked up an award for visual effects. Woo-hoo. So, special thanks to visual effects supervisor Jared Moschner for his excellent work to help us bring to life all the crazy things that we thought up. Oh, and Marx was also on a panel about the future of web series.
Yeah, it was a really cool panel. We'll talk more about that in part two. About that panel. Mm-hmm. Now, part two will be this Thursday, where we'll be interviewing even more awesome creators. In that episode, we'll be talking to the minds behind the New York-produced superhero comedy Super Knocked Up. They're always fun to talk to KATR Pictures. Talk about their new comedy series, The Ladies The Gents, which actually just premiered today.
Yeah.
Superhero series Justice Woman, and the Vancouver comedy Last Chance Casting.
Okay, we're about ready to start the interview, but before we get to our interview, we do want to point out that the music you just heard at the beginning of the show was a snippet from the theme song for our web series, Reality on Demand. And it was a song composed and produced by our friend Tishon Hardy. And you can find our web series at realityondemandseries.com. And speaking of music, any music you hear before and after the interviews are segments from their respected shows.
Now let's get started with our interviews from LA Webfest.
Hey guys, this is Marx in LA at LA Webfest with a couple of web series creators here. Can you introduce yourselves, please?
Hi, I'm Jonathan Robbins. I'm the creator of the web series Clutch at clutchtheseries.com, and I'm also the co-star of Out With Dad Season 3.
I'm Matthew Carvery. I'm a co-star in Clutch, as well as a writer and producer now, and I've also created the series Asset. And Jonathan forgot to mention that he also created the series Dance by Day.
Dancebyday.ca is the link for that one.
Okay, great. Well, can you tell us a little bit about Clutch?
Clutch is a femme fatale action series. We're in our second season. We've released Season 2.0, and Season 2.5 begins shortly, and we are screening the first two episodes of Season 2 here at LA Webfest. We had our first screening last night, and people cringed in the right moments and laughed in the right moments, so I'm happy.
What character do you play in Clutch?
I play the main character's good-for-nothing boyfriend. I am not a nice guy. I offer her in trade to the mob for $50,000.
Wouldn't you? I mean, doesn't everyone do that?
Oh, yeah.
These are human stories. We're just...
Common practice, really.
So where did the concept of Clutch come from?
It sounds strange, but Clutch actually came from out of inspiration from my mother, who is has always been a fighter in the opposite way. She's a nun, so she fights for what she believes in and does it her way. And I wanted to tell a story about women fighting for what they believed in, but the way that I'm familiar with is from Robert Rodriguez films and the like. So they use machine guns.
Where'd you go from the concept to the actual creation of actually putting together a crew? What's your background in filmmaking?
I started as an actor and got into directing as a need to create work for myself as an actor, and through that found a love of directing. And over time, doing tons of short films, I had built up a reputation and a team of people that I was familiar with. So I called on my best people, and then where I didn't have someone to do a particular job, I recruited.
And where are you guys based out of?
Toronto.
For you, for acting, what was your favorite scene, and also what was your most embarrassing moment that maybe didn't make it on the screen?
Well, no, all my embarrassing moments made it on screen.
They're the best stuff.
My favorite scene, actually, it was a scene I was acting in, but it wasn't my favorite because I was an actor. It hasn't aired yet. It's part of season 2.5. There was a scene I wrote, and I wrote it one way. I had a vision of it in my mind, and I came on set, and the actress I was playing the scene with just played it completely differently than I expect, and I couldn't play it the way I thought in my head from what I was getting, so I had to play it differently too. And the scene ended up being, like, beautiful, and it was just a neat experience to have something that I'd created take a whole new direction just off of one note, off an actress. It's a true testament to the collaborative art form that is film.
Yeah, they say you rate a film 3 times. Once when you write it on paper, once when you film it, and once when you edit it. And with Clutch, that's very, very much been true.
Did you mention an embarrassing moment or a funny moment on set, perhaps?
First episode of season 1, actually, there's a little funny story there. I told Buzz Kaufman, the guy who plays the Hatchet Man, to be as rough as he liked with me, and I'd roll with it. And so we go through the entire 2 days of shooting. He's fairly rough with me, but I'm expecting it, so I roll with it, and I don't get hurt. I go to put my boots on after the shoot's over, and I put my back out. So didn't get hurt on set, even though he was like playing with a hatchet around my head, and I hurt myself putting on my shoes.
So with Clutch, whenever you came up with the concept, decided you're going to make it, why'd you decide web series? Did you have a previous experience with web series? I mean, what gave you the web series bug?
This was my first web series. I had experimented with a version of Clutch in a film called Your Ex-Lover is Dead, which you can actually currently see on jts.tv, the film that inspired it. And I had played out the film. It did well, but it didn't go anywhere. And once the film festivals were done, the film was done. So the web series was a way to keep this passion project alive and also improve on it from where I made mistakes in the film. I was now able to go back and say, okay, well, it would work a lot better if we actually split that character's role into 2 different characters that interacted in a different way. And I fell in love with web series as soon as I started working with them.
Now to get off from Clutch, let's talk about your other shows that you're both working on. Tell us a little bit about them and where they're at right now.
I'm going to go first to Out With Dad, which was a real interesting experience. I was a fan of Out With Dad before I ever had an opportunity to audition for it. After season 2, their lead actor, Will Conlon, who played Dad, had announced he was leaving the show, and they needed a new dad. I was devastated. I loved him in the role. I loved watching the show, and to me, I was worried about Jason Lever, who creates the show, worrying that show would fall apart without its actor. And now here I am in those same shoes, playing the character, and it fits. It's magic when everyone comes together. It's a family full of support. The fans have been extremely supportive, and they haven't even seen it yet. We only started shooting, but just seeing the little intro video we did introducing me as the new Nathan, they've already been. I'm really going to be sad to see Will go. I'm going to miss Will, but I'm excited to see what Jonathan is going to do. It's a testament to web series audiences.
I'm currently working on a project I've created. I've got inspired by this guy here, creating web series. I decided to make my own.
He's pointing to Joss Whedon right now. Why aren't you interviewing him?
No, Asset is about a spy who's not a spy. He doesn't have any training. He doesn't have any gadgets. He's gotten roped in kind of against his will because he has a connection to someone the CIA wants to get close to. And it's about a guy who's in over his head and just trying to get by. We've just got a trailer up. It's up at assettheseries.com. It's actually directed by another member of the Toronto web series community, Mike Donis, who also created Pete Winning and the Pirates. Something else you should check out.
How big is the web series community in Toronto?
It's growing exponentially. When I joined the community, I guess about a year and a half ago, we were at about 50 members. Now it's at, the Facebook group is at almost 900 members. It's grown ridiculously large, and it's wonderful because they're all so supportive of each other. It's very incestuous in a good way.
And Out With Dad, did you say where we're at? What episode are we on? What season? Or is it going to come out soon?
Season 3 is filming. I didn't think there was an official release date, but I think I saw on the Facebook page the other day that he has now officially announced that Father's Day will be the first episode's premiere.
And then for your show, you have the trailer out. What's the plan there?
We're hoping to premiere early fall, but we're still in the process of getting funding. We've submitted to the IPF, Independent Production Fund in Canada. Hopefully we'll get some money from them and some other sources and be able to start shooting late summer, early fall, and for a late fall release. But nothing's set in stone yet.
Please watch that trailer, and if you like it, say so and tell people that, because that's what helps us get these things made.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get funding for Clutch?
Oh, that was American Express.
Oh, okay. All right, and see, now you can brand. There'd be your sponsor. Right?
It really should. It's a great show, and they've been kind of paying for it anyway. So,
they could at least cut me the interest off or something like that. I don't know.
All right, well, great. It's been great talking to you guys. Have a great rest of the festival.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Blake Calhoun, the creator of the web series Pink and the sci-fi web series Continuum, and you're listening to GenreTainment Radio.
Thank you for choosing Bloody Mary. I hope you continue to be scared straight.
You're listening to GenreTainment. We're here in LA at LA Webfest, meeting all sorts of great web series creators. And right now we're talking with
Darren Chadwick Hussein, who is the creator of Bloody Mary. I'm sorry, Bloody Mary.
The Bloody Mary Show.
The Bloody Mary Show.
Yeah, she said sort of like great web makers, and then there's me, who's just ordinary and sort of like. It's great to be in LA, and it's wonderful to be on GenreTainment. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
What can I say? I pick up quickly.
Took very little prompting.
That's it's a good job this is actually recorded. Sort of, this is audio. If you can picture it right now, I'm in nipple clamps and they're poking me with a stick.
Well, he also has a collar on. To be fair, that's helping to control him. It's a choke collar.
Absolutely. So if I suddenly go. You'll know that sort of I've said something bad and displeased mistress.
We like to control our No, I'm kidding. He's sitting very comfortably.
I am actually. This chair is lovely, and this is sort of I got my feet on a poof, as we say in England.
That's one I didn't know.
A poof, yes. This is an old Fredbear poof. His name is Harry.
what's the Bloody Mary.
Oh, she's just got it. She's just got it.
Well, what's the Bloody Mary show about?
Sorry, the reason is we had to say a boot because we are surrounded by Canadians.
He's not Canadian.
I'm
What's
not
this about?
Canadian. It's about. Well, the Bloody Mary Show is essentially a 7-part web series. Season 1 is a 7-part web series looking at the urban legend of Bloody Mary and what she does on her off time. She's not nasty. She's not a killer. She's actually just simply misunderstood. So it's how she spends her off time with her supernatural friends, Viscera, Malevolent, and Abdabs. They all hang out in a bar called Hemingway's, which is run by Herzog. We have Succubi in there, we have Incubi, and we have Forbidden Love, which is hinted at in episode 1, and you get to see more about it from then on.
Now, how did you first come up with this idea for the series?
Well, the series started off as a short called Winifred. It started off as my way of dealing with sleep paralysis, which is a medical condition where essentially you are paralyzed when you sleep. It is accompanied by hallucinations, and I happened to see something so horrific that it actually properly terrified me, and I ran screaming and I'd fallen asleep on the couch and ran into the bedroom with the covers over my head, screaming at the top of my lungs. My poor husband sort of, going, what the hell's going on? And then the dog jumped on the bed, and I carried on screaming because I thought it had followed me into the room, even after I'd... the poor dog sort of, she's had worse. But yeah, and so in order to sort of deal with something like that, if it ever happened again, I tried to personify the hallucination that I saw and created like a little love story about somebody whose job it is to cure you of sleep paralysis before it kills you. And she happens to fall in love with a person that she's curing, but of course she's so horrific. Every time he sees her, he screams and sort of, and freaks out. I did that as a short film, but it was too prohibitive budget-wise. Nobody would have given me the money for it. It may have worked as animation, but I just expanded it into a 7-part web series. I'd watched things like The Guild and absolutely loved them and thought this is such a great new market, especially in England where there's very few. I went ahead and sort of, 18 months later, the character of Winifred became Viscera. The film was sort of expanded and absorbed into the main narrative. And that's how that came along. Bloody Mary came along and took the lead role. Sorry, Viscera.
Well, and that's interesting because with sleep paralysis, it thought Hag was sitting on them and trying to kill them. And then also that is also, I believe, the start of the succubus and the incubus mythology as well. So, because people used to, before they realized that it's your body is still paralyzed, but you're waking up, that they thought there were demons.
Yeah. Well, it's so many things. They were even saying alien abduction is possibly sort of sleep paralysis related.
Would that be the fairy scare too? That was...
I'm unfamiliar with the fairy scare.
Well, people used to... Now we have alien abductions. People used to believe that they were being abducted by fairies.
Probably. I mean, there is no set pattern of hallucinations. You can hallucinate anything. But it is such a cultural thing. Every single culture has it. In Turkey, it's called or something. Sorry, that sounded Russian. Actually, I'm terrible. But in it's Namukte is I think it's a Japanese term for it. I'm sure people are actually Googling as they're listening to this, and I'm sounding like a complete idiot. But yeah, just insert the words from other languages. But it's got to the point now where small villages in Kenya are now, all the men are, and we shouldn't laugh at this because it is actually terrible. There is apparently a demon going around raping the men at night, which is, is comedic, but also horrifying that actually sort of,
there have actually been a few witch burnings recently.
Absolutely. I mean, it leads to stuff like that.
Any woman who, I guess, steps out of her place, they think that she is a witch and causing all these problems, and that's part of it. And they're burning, still having witch burnings in some parts of the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, originally I'm from Lancashire, which is, I guess it would be England's equivalent of Salem. We had the witch trials in Pendle Hill.
You guys just had to be first.
We had to be. I'm sorry, you snooze, you lose. We don't follow trends, we make them. So I grew up surrounded by sort of, images of witchcraft, and, you give a small child something like that, and it was great. And because my mother, God bless her soul, she actually would take me out of school and say, Darren can't come to school today, he's got a doctor's appointment, and she would take me to the matinee of Poltergeist. I was about 6, because she wanted somebody to go and watch horror films with, and her youngest child was the one. So she warped me in such a wonderful way that I owe everything to that woman. God bless you, Mum.
I was so sheltered. I probably to this day, my mother would still not let me see Poltergeist.
I actually I showed somebody Poltergeist, Craig Daniel Adams, who plays the human Chris in it. I actually showed him Poltergeist, and he hated it. Right. I guess, he's younger than me. He's a young whippersnapper, and he's sort of, the shocks are much more these days, and he was very disappointed, but I was sort of terrified by Poltergeist. I still love it, We're in series 2. We are doing reference. We referenced English horror films in the first series, but in the second series we are referencing some. And Abdabs, who is our Grim Reaper character, will actually say the words "Head towards the light, Carol Ann." He will. That is currently in there in a draft. Whether it makes it to the final draft, we don't know. But we do have a Poltergeist reference in there.
Now, you mentioned that where you're from, they have the history of the witch trials. Is there any folklore that's more specific to, where you're from that maybe general audiences might not be familiar with?
Well, I mean, every single culture has its very culturally specific things. There are... I feel like it should be putting a spoiler alert on for Series 2. because cambions are a very interesting mythological thing, which I don't really think made it across the ocean. A cambion is the child of an incubus and a human woman. Merlin from King Arthur was a cambion. You know, I'm possibly giving away major spoilers for Series 2, so I should actually shut my mouth right now. But that is a sort of, you heard it here first on Genre Entertainment. GenreTainment.
Or GenreTainment.
The choke chain.
No, that was the taser. He's just joking. It was the taser.
Yeah, it was the taser. But no. But other things as well. I can't think off the top of my head if there's anything. We had the Cottingley Fairies, which were those very famous photographs of, those two little girls with the most pathetic paper fairies. It was so obvious that they were cutouts, but you had.
Hey, people believed in the flea circuses. They would stare and they would swear that they were seeing fleas on little trapezes, and it was the power of suggestion.
Yeah, when they were like 4, I believed in flea circuses. I never actually saw one, but I actually would see.
There used to be it was the less sophisticated audience, and the power of suggestion was pretty strong.
Well,
It's odd, though.
Yeah, sort of, nowadays we just call that Fox News. That's sort of, I don't know. I'm sitting in a hotel room in LA watching Fox News and getting more and more wound up.
Don't do that to yourself.
There isn't a problem that can't be sort of blamed on Obamacare.
Yes.
It's like, what, you wanted a socialist who sort of, wanted to look after the poor? No, that wasn't Obama, that was Jesus.
Yes.
Can you imagine if he came back these days? Fox News would hate him.
He wouldn't be allowed.
No, he wouldn't.
In many of the churches.
Yeah, he'd be deported. God bless.
He's an illegal.
Nazarene.
He's from the Middle East. He must be evil.
Yeah, that's sort of, the whole thing's, I'm married to a sort of Turkish Cypriot, bit controversy there, so I'll just say Turkish. It's normally easier than sort of saying the word Cypriot in there. It's just sort of like, well, hello, I'm English, we have Northern Ireland. So, okay, right, if you're getting wound up about that, I will give my normal answer to, because I lived in America for a few years, and I would get a lot of people who were sort of 4th generation, they would say, they were Irish American or they were Italian American. It's like, no, you're American. Which part of that do you not understand? And so they would say, the English, you came over and you raped my granddad's potatoes. And so my standard answer would be sort of like, yes, it's absolutely disgraceful when, a culture invades and sort of imposes itself on sort of, the people who are there.
It's a good thing that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, how do you treat the Native Americans? Was my standard answer, so that would always shut them up. I was a real smart ass. I'm surprised I didn't get punched more often.
I am too.
Ouch! I'm leaving this interview right now.
My standard answer is that as an American, I'm pretty much your typical Heinz 57 variety, and if you held I would have the most horrible identity crisis in the world. Because, like, half of my ancestors were kicking the other and half of the ancestors' asses at any given moment.
Well, I'm the sort of mixture of everything. That's the history of the world.
Yeah. We can all enjoy our strong cultural and ethnic identities, but the truth is, if you go back far enough, we all came from the same place.
A mountainside, a hilltop in Africa.
We crawled out of the same primordial ooze at some point, and...
But I'm sort of like, my mum's family is sort of Eastern European Jewish, sort of fled during World War II, and my dad's side of the family is Irish and Welsh.
Yeah.
So, Jewish, Irish Catholic sent to a Church of England school, I've got plenty of guilt, and I've got it all.
I've got guilt. I'm legitimate.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do a Star of David. I can say the Hail Marys. I can say the Lord's Prayer. I can do it all.
You can be like the guy from the Mummy movie who starts praying all the different ones just the same as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he finally does the Jewish, and then he goes, "Oh, a slave. He can work for us."
I love that.
I could do that. Sort of, I'm sure I'll probably find one religion I can get to heaven in.
People are like, oh, I thought it was very practical of the man. Maybe I'm just a little Machiavellian, but I thought, that was a pretty wise move.
I think if you're going to hedge your bets,
it's
a pretty good way of sort of, doing it. You're bound to get it right one place.
Hey, the only danger is not getting it out before he kills you. You just got to hit the right one at the right time.
Oh,
Back to Bloody Mary.
Back to Bloody Mary.
Reeling it right in. I'm sorry, I go off the tangent.
We've never done that.
No, never ever.
What show are we doing again?
Super Knocked. Oh no, it's.
I'm leaving. That's it. Door shuts.
So, of Bloody Mary, you mentioned a season 2 or series 2.
Yes.
So, what's the plans at that? What do you hope to perhaps release that?
Okay. Hey, listen, listeners in Radioland. Right now, I am shrinking and cringing. I should have had series 2 written by now. I don't. It's all up in my head. Don't you tut me. Are you my mother?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Take me to a horror film. I should.
If you don't behave, I'm going to make you watch Twilight.
Oh, don't! I couldn't even watch it on a plane to send me a.
Don't worry, I can to make it a punishment. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sparkly vampires. Yeah, I should have actually written it by now. It's all in my head. I know where it's going, but I wanted to come to somewhere like LA Webfest to actually sort of meet other people to find out, what they liked about the show, and I've been listening to the audience who have been, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Please leave us messages. We always respond. Love comments, nice comments on the YouTube page, because I will always, somebody will always contact you.
Leave terrible comments somewhere else.
Yes, absolutely. But yes, just please do leave lots of comments. And I was trying to respond. So originally the show was written for sort of, 12 to 15-year-old girls. We didn't get that market. We actually attracted an over 25 quite gender mixed market. And
what does that say about the maturity of the world's population at this point?
Well, hey, sort of, this is great because we can actually now take in themes. I mean, there was strong themes in series 1. It was quite a lot about alcoholism. In series 2, I want to go and explore a lot of other issues that I didn't think I was going to get to. Mm-hmm. So now it's even more of writing. And actually watching it on the screen, it was played in the LA Webfest, it made me cringe a few times because I was seeing all the mistakes magnified, which a lot of people will probably not even notice. But I was like, sort of cringing, making these terrible noises and squirming in my seat. So I now know, to cut the pauses, to sort of make it much quicker. So it is a great learning experience. So, yes, there's lots to do in Series 2, and typically, rather like a college student, I have left it all to the night before the exam.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because with web series, we tend to making it for a computer monitor. And so it is a very different experience watching it on a bigger screen.
Yeah. It's horrible. It's like being shouted at, isn't it?
It is, and we've seen it, and I'm proud of our show, but I kind of cringe. I'm like, I'm so sick of seeing myself, and I am like way too big on that screen. It's like I feel like I'm the giant floating head from Oz, because the filming and the cutting and everything, and we're editing, and we were just looking at it on a monitor the whole time, and suddenly I feel like the floating head from Oz as I'm up there talking, and I'm thinking that's just
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
It's a different situation, so.
It's another world actually seeing it on a big screen, but you should never really set yourself, don't set yourself sort of, don't set the bar low. Mm-hmm. You should at least set it to as high as you can. I've seen the show so many times. It's great to actually be part of a show something that I've written and I'm not sick of it yet. I can still carry on watching it and sort of, pick up the nuances and sort of, and concentrate on other things. It is a show that sort of, there are things that you will see in repeated views that you didn't see in the first one. And there's terrible continuity errors.
Now, how long did it take you to film?
We'd originally planned to film for 2 weeks, but we had a very good... we had 2 great DOPs. The second DOP we had one for the real world and one for the realm, which is where the characters hang out. Now, Claire Buxton, who was the DOP for The Realm, took a lot of time, but it shows on camera. But when you're doing low budgets, you have to be quick. So she did take a lot of time. So we did have to push on for a third week. I had to stop filming I had to essentially shut down filming and say, look, we need more money. Managed to get it amazingly almost straight away. And so we just carried on then, but we had to take a 1 week hiatus. And the thing about it was that everybody came back, even though nobody was being paid. They had such a good time on the set that everyone came back, apart from one person who could not, who was playing Whoopi Goldberg's part in Ghost, the musical, that week of filming. So it was like, what do you want to be? Do you want to play Whoopi Goldberg in a leading role in the West End, or do you want to be in our show? And of course, she took the Whoopi part, and God bless you, we actually replaced her. And nobody has actually noticed that we changed the actress. We even made a joke about it.
So it was like the Darren from Bewitched.
It was a Darren from Bewitched. We actually went the Roseanne way.
Did she just go into a closet and come out as somebody?
It's the character of Malevolent, who is taken away by her mother in one episode, and then she escapes from her mother and comes back as a different actress. And one person, she says, "Oh, I've changed my face to hide from her." And one of the characters says, "Is this your mate?" And it was like, yeah, sure. He says, "But she looks different." And he says, "Oh, he's a shapeshifter." And she says, "Oh, shapeshifter. Yeah, I can buy that." That's a lie. We had to put that in because we couldn't insult the audience.
Yeah, it's Absolutely. Fantasy. You can just make shit up.
Well, I was like, we can swear on this. Oh, this is bloody great. But yeah, I like it the Roseanne way, which is the audience is not stupid.
Yeah.
Play up and make a joke of it. We could get away with it in our show, but I loved how Roseanne would change the Becky character.
Oh, and they made fun of it at the end. They're like, do they think no one's going to notice that they changed the actress? And they're like doing that whole conversation.
And there was a time when they went to Disneyland, and it was one of the characters, and she goes, "We're going to Disneyland." She says, "Yeah, aren't you glad you're in this week?" That was such, we are probably, I would love to have Jenny back in series 2 as another character, playing off against the new Malevolent. That would be really quite fun to do. So that may be something, if Jenny is available and willing, I would love to write her a role in series 2.
Now, what's your background in filmmaking?
Oh God, it's sort of a very sad story, and it goes back to my high school. I was kind of outed when I was 15, and in England you leave school at 16. And so I didn't really go into school in my final year. Luckily, all my exams were it was 100% coursework. So I could do all my essays and things like that without going in. And I thought, I am not going to carry on my education with all these bastards who have, made my life a hell for a year. So I was looking around, and the next town over was doing A-levels, which is sort of what you do when you're 16 and 17 years old. And they did them in these new topics that were media studies and film. And so I was like, whoa, I can actually study media studies and film at A-level? This is brilliant. So I went to the college over, started completely afresh, did those, got into film school when I was 18. I was the youngest one to ever do the course. Had a really bright future ahead of me, and then I completely screwed up. Completely screwed up. And
he admits it, though. That's good.
Well, I was sort of given I had a bad role model in my life who thought that I would be sitting around for years on welfare, thinking that certain things were beneath me, and which is terrible. I was the complete idiot, but I was in a very bad place at the time. Yeah. So I was about a decade behind where I should be. Luckily, I was volunteering at London Film Festival, and I met some guys from Philadelphia, and they were like, "Oh, come on, we have a film festival, come over there." So that reignited my interest, and I moved over to Philadelphia full time. Worked at their International Film Festival and their Lesbian and Gay Film Festival. Before Tribeca came along, we were the biggest on the East Coast. That was great. That reignited my passion. But what I really wanted to do was write. When I finally left America, I think it was in 2005, my mum had got very ill at the time, and I wanted to go back to college. and do a master's in screenwriting. So that was it. I sort of, got back, did the degree, did the master's, and unfortunately then the recession hit. So
What recession?
Absolutely, what recession? We're all taxing the poor, tax the bankers. Right now, hopefully people are throwing their fists up. I think. So all the British drama a lot of it was cancelled. So everyone had to go down a few levels. So entry-level positions were not available for new writers. So at the time, I'd written the short Winifred and it was being passed around to producer, and I was getting so fed up. And I was like, you know what? I've never produced anything before in my life. I'm going for it. And it wasn't so much a learning curve as like a learning wall, which I had to climb. And I learned so much, and I think it's really important. My life is an open book. If you have any questions, email me. I'm Darren@BloodyMaryShow.com. Ask anything you want, and I'd be more than happy to respond and help you out. But that's my history.
Now, how has the British, I guess, film industry, has it recovered any from the recession? Is it starting to an uptick, or is it still pretty much? And how different is it trying to break into that versus break into American Hollywood?
I think they're two completely different animals, but also at the same time they're a very common species. British film has been sort of in decline for a number of years. Every now and again we will have a renaissance and it will be the rebirth of the British film industry, and then we go back down again. We have Billy Elliot, Full Monty. Every time one of these films comes out, everyone's thinking, yes, we're back again, and we're not. But we used to have something called the levy tax, which meant that British films were funded by the government. And so, they went incredibly downhill in the 70s, and it was just a lot of schlock that was made, that was funded by the government. So, of course, questions were asked, and they got rid of it. But it essentially killed the British film industry. Now, with sort of the democratizing and with cheaper technology, there are more people picking up and doing it themselves. I'm really interested to see where this is going to take us. I think a lot of people are scared, but they shouldn't be. They should embrace it.
Yeah. Well, we noticed, we were up in Vancouver. Marx went to Vancouver Film School, and it was so different because they get the government will pay them money to make films, and they get tax breaks, and they have health care, and it's a smaller business. And, we're like, oh my gosh, we have none of those advantages. In the U.S., you are so on your own.
Yeah, well, actually, that's kind of a two-way street. There was recently a film, and it was called A Labor of Lies or something. And it was actually a tax scam that 5 people had actually claimed money back for, I think it's called the Enterprise Initiative Scheme, where you can actually claim money back from the government to make British films. They actually tried to claim back £3 million on a non-existent film.
So this is going to ruin it for everyone.
So, well, they kind of, what they did was they almost got away with it. And then the inspectors were called in, and it was like, well, can you show us this film?
Do you have anything to show us? Yeah.
So they went out and shot a £70,000 film on a Canon 5D that ended up showing at they won an award at the Las Vegas Film Festival, apparently.
Oh my God.
And they said, oh yes, this is our £3 million film. They shot it in like a week, and it was like, no. This did not cost £3 million.
We weren't born yesterday.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. So there's probably going to be repercussions of that. So, I wish I had the moxie to be able to do that. I went to film school. I didn't go to business school.
And you're apparently not a con artist at heart, so
Oh, I think we're all con artists, darling, but in the Wizard of Oz nice way.
Yes.
We're not bad men. We're just very bad magicians.
That's true.
Wizards.
Let's have a little fun question. Off the cuff.
Questions have not been fun.
No, it's been so laborious up until this point.
God. So you seem to know a lot about folklore.
Yes.
And supernatural creatures and such. So if you had to be a supernatural creature, what supernatural creature would you like to be? And not a sparkling vampire. That's eliminated.
Yeah, that's or they're wussy werewolves they had.
No, there is one thing I do want to say about Bloody Mary show. If you haven't seen it, there are no zombies, vampires, or werewolves in the Bloody Mary show.
Well, we're just ending this interview right now.
And there never will be. There never ever will be. No.
Okay, that's it.
No sparkling vampires. If I could be a creature from folklore, you know what? There are so many wonderful ones. Sharon, the ferryman, who sort of boats people over the River Styx.
Oh yeah.
He's a great one. He would be. I'd like to be Sharon for a day. Only because the name Sharon in England is a girl's name.
Here too.
Really, yes, absolutely. It's a bit of an unclassy name, Sharon and Tracy. They're a sort of girl. I realise the irony that I am called Darren, which is an incredibly sort of trashy English name. Of a certain age, you're sort of, you're essentially lower class, born in the 70s if you were called Darren or Barry or Kevin or Wayne.
Those are very common names here. That's not a...
Yeah, they're Barry, not sort of trashy.
Barry's a little dated, though. Barry's a little dated.
Barry is early 70s. Darren is mid-70s. I've actually noticed that Darren has been taken up by the British black community. So anybody named Darren under the age of 30 is actually black. It's like I'm the last white Darren.
The last white Darren in England.
Yeah, it's like Winston Churchill was the last white Winston in England.
That's a good point. Well... it could be like me. When I was growing up, it would be, 3 Julies in the same classroom, because everybody's mom decided to name them Julie all in the same year, apparently.
I'm trying to think. There were probably sort of, there was going to be kids called like Robert. And what's the name of the vampire in Twilight? What is his? If you know this, you're actually sort of like, I'm
Jacob.
Isn't
it Jacob?
That's the werewolf.
That's the werewolf. Oh my, you know it. You said, you know what? There were actually going to be kids called Jacob, who are born now. So in 15, 20 years' time, there's going to be lots of Jacobs voting. Be afraid, America. Yeah. Be afraid.
My mother, I love to tease her because she likes Twilight. And Edward. That's it. That's right, because it's Team Jacob or Team Edward. It took me a long time to figure out what that meant. But my mother wanted us to name our rabbit Bella, and so I was liking Isabella until I realized why she liked Bella. So then I decided not to name her that. We named her Suki.
You see, I can do that in a sort of I can do that. Suki.
She only responded to that name at first when Marx would do his Vampire Bill impression, saying it.
Go on, do it. Go on.
It's not very good.
I'll do it. Go on then.
That's the whole point. Is
okay. Go on. It is. It's just how he says it.
You wiggle when he does that.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I just love it. Oh, it's okay.
She even makes fun of it.
I haven't seen that. I stopped watching at the end of series 2. I haven't.
There's a scene where I swear to God, she actually starts to giggle when she does it. It almost breaks character because she's like, I expect him to walk through the door and go, Suki.
I think I've seen that clip on YouTube. I actually sort of, let's call it on now.
And it's so funny because that they just put that to make fun of how he says her name.
But no, what was the question?
I don't.
We got detoured so much.
Supernatural creature. You answered it.
Yeah,
I answered it. Yeah, but that one was we knocked that one out of the
chick name.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what we're gonna call that question. The one where he wants to be the River Styx dude with the chick name.
Heck yeah.
We did the super super geeked up hangout the other day, and the sort of the thing was gay zombie porn. Now it's going to be sort of like
yes,
River Styx guy with a chick's name.
We knew that we knew gay zombie porn had to be a real thing, because I think everything exists at this point.
Oh, I was curious. How is the web series community in the UK? Is it growing? It's
growing. It's very small and self-contained at the minute. What is popular in England is the guy talking into the webcam. They're very big at the minute. But then you get people like Tomska, who is massive, like 10 billion subscribers, and but he's now got into production. So he's smart, because what I'm really worried about is in 5 years' time, you're going to get a bunch of sort of, YouTube superstars who are now sort of living in some sort of Sunset Boulevard house, you know, bitterly sort of, you know, walking the halls and going, I still am big, it's the views that got small.
Yeah.
You know, so you're going to create these sort of, you know, there's a bunch of 25-year-olds who are acting like 17-year-olds.
Yes.
And unfortunately, people move on to other things. So I'm really worried about that. But the web series community is slowly growing and gathering momentum in England. I think we need about 3 or 4 more good shows to get people to take notice.
Now, we've talked before about how, in our experience, the web community is much more supportive, and then the independent film community tends to be much more competitive. And we think it's probably just because, you know, there's competition for venues and there's all these things. Is that your experience in the UK as well?
With the community in England, the web series community, as opposed to the indie filmmaking community, we overlap, but they are quite separate. There are people who look down on, you know, web series, but you know, that's universal. But we're the ones having the last laugh.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get sort of, you know, we've released our stuff on YouTube and it's there for the public, and you know, eventually, you know, people will start watching. Well, great, you've had a one screening in some sort of, you know, cinema in Aspen, and sort of, you know, and that was it. That was your shot. You know, well, screw you. You know, I'm really quite happy, sort of, you know, catering to the lowest common denominator and just sort of, you know, entertaining people. I have no problem with that. The web series community we are very close knit and we are quite supportive. There's a thing I call sudden ratings syndrome, which is a bit like sudden wealth syndrome, where some people who have suddenly taken off can get quite arrogant, and at the same time, somebody coming into the community who hasn't really done their research. And they said, oh, yes, we're going to put British web series on the map. And you're just sort of sat there at the back like, you know, the donkey in Animal Farm going, yeah, good luck with that. Yeah.
Why don't you tell our audience where they can find you?
Okay, you can actually watch the show on www.bloodymaryshow.com. We're on YouTube, Bloody Mary Show. Facebook, Bloody Mary Show. Twitter, Bloody Mary Show. Coldcast.tv/Bloody Mary Show. If you can name a website, you can add /Bloody Mary Show to it. You can probably find us. I hope you watch the show, and thank you for listening.
All right, well, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Chris Stone. I'm the creator of Blood and Bone China, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
How is it you're still single?
Because it's a way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
No, I don't buy that. Women like food just as much as men. You know, if you could get a woman to actually taste your food, even you could get laid.
You play a girl elf D&D character. So? I don't need help getting women.
I wouldn't put it quite so eloquently, but you kind of do.
Would you find a man who cooks attractive?
Yes.
She's cute, but she's married. She's got like a kid.
What's the problem?
People are starting to get hurt.
Crap.
Hey guys, this is Marx
and Julie.
GenreTainment here in LA at LA Webfest. We're speaking to different web series creators, and right now we're speaking to
Ed Robinson from Pairings.
And Jody Younce, I produce Pairings.
All right, well, can you tell us a little bit about Pairings?
Sure. Pairings is the premise is that it makes that cooking makes men sexier. So the Pairings is really just about food, nerds, and women.
Can I please just say that I've been trying to tell him that for years? Okay, sorry, go on.
Well, there's a reason I married him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys probably can't see this, but yeah, it's pretty clear that I only got her because I cook well.
That's not true, but it probably helped.
All right, well, how many episodes do you have online so far?
We have 6 episodes online right now. We're looking into making season 2 right now.
Have you enjoyed LA Webfest? You guys are here in LA, right? You're from LA?
Yes.
We're here local, and it seems actually harder to go to a Webfest when it's local because you still have all your regular daily life to go to. But what we've been to has actually been really amazingly fun. We've met a lot of really cool people like you guys.
Well, it's also we've been able to reconnect with people we have met when we traveled to New York for the Indie Soap Awards and things like that, and that's been a lot of fun.
I was going to ask, So what was the kind of the genesis of this show? How did you come up with it and decide to do it?
We were drunk.
Those are the best ideas.
Exactly. Those are the only ideas.
Yeah.
No, seriously, we had a couple of drinks one night, and we were just, goofing around and talking, and we had this idea of, what if we made a web series about a guy who's trying to cook, and that's how he ends up getting women. And somehow I woke up the next morning, and Ed had already written 5 pages of a draft. And it just went on from there, and really the whole thing kind of took. We shot about exactly a year ago, and I think almost a year before that is when we had written the first page. So it went actually, I think, in my mind, pretty fast.
The nice thing was I've been catering. I make my money these days by catering indie TV and film sets, anything from 20th Century Fox digital web series to very, very indie stuff. And so I was able to pretty much, first I was able to get a lot of people interested because I had a lot of contacts in the community, but I was also able to just handpick my crew, which was really important to me. I was able to say, oh, come work on my project, I'll feed you really well. And we got a great DP and great composer and all those people just because I'd met them through catering.
Yeah. Now, have you found that since you bring the food on set, that whatever set you're on, you're the most popular person there?
Exactly. That's actually normally what I say, so I don't even know how I can add to that.
Yeah. Just want to make sure that was your experience too.
So, why web series? Why did you come up with this concept and think, nah, we're not going to make a film out of this. No, we're not going to try to pitch this to television. We're going to do it on the web.
Well, I didn't ever envision it as a film. So that's easy for me. I have always felt like there are food fictional films like, Julie and Julia, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman by Ang Lee, or Big Night, but I didn't think that it had been done as a episodic yet. I mean, Anthony Bourdain kind of thought about doing it a little, but it just, I don't feel like it's been done, and I wanted to do it. And I don't think that the networks are ready for it yet. So I just thought the web series community was a better place to do it because it is such a specialized thing. And I'm not going to complain if a channel picks us up in the future, but I think it needed to start in the web series space because it is kind of a new concept.
We'd also kind of had the connections.
That too. We knew we could do this.
Yeah, you had worked with David Nett on Gold as well as Night of the Zombie King, so we were kind of already familiar with the medium.
And we'd worked with Stephanie Thorpe on ElfQuest: A Fan Imagining, and we knew Shannon Nelson, so we just knew the community really well.
What'd you do on Gold?
I was in Gold. I acted in Gold. I was a guest star in episode 3. And, I guess the other reason I wanted to make it a web series is it was becoming clear to me that it was becoming the future of entertainment. And, most people under the age of 30 are getting a lot more of their entertainment now. I mean, I think it's actually a stat that I've heard, I hope it's accurate, that they get more of their entertainment online than they do on TV. And as that generation gets older and becomes a generation consuming content, internet TV is what everything's going to be, and I want to ride the wave now and not miss out.
And before we go, could you let everyone know where they can find your show and any other projects that you have?
You can find Pairings at pairingtheseries.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We're
at Pairings Series.
That's Twitter. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Facebook is facebook.com/Pairings Series. At Pairings Series on Twitter. As far as other projects, I don't think we have anything we have yet
ready to talk about.
Yes, there might be other things in the works. We do have Pairing Season 2 that is written and ready to go, and hopefully that will be out soon.
So stay tuned. Please let us know whenever you have something else.
Yeah.
Let's have one quick fun question.
Sure.
You're going to have your last meal. What would it be?
I couldn't narrow it down.
I can't narrow it down. Can I modify this question? Can I go with what my favorite comfort food is?
Yeah.
Sure. Not my favorite food, just comfort food. But I always come back to pesto. I love pesto. If it's on the menu, I will be ordering it.
This is going to sound bad, but my last meal would have to be something I can't cook. So it would have to be something very specialized that only a restaurant could do, like something like sushi or just a ridiculously intricate French
truffle thing.
Dish or roasted, something that I can't make in my home kitchen. I'm not thinking of anything great off the top of my head. Yeah, something that crazy fancy that takes
Baked
hours.
Alaska.
There you go, baked Alaska. I've never even had it.
See, my comfort food is mashed potatoes and peas.
Mashed potatoes and peas.
Because you get the mashed potatoes and you get the peas on it, and then that is a comfort food. And I'm a chocoholic, but some of mashed potatoes and peas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thanks a lot for speaking with us, guys.
Yeah,
of course.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Tanya.
And I'm Rob. And we're from
KATR
KATR Pictures, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. Death paints our once great land. All oil shipments to the U.S. were put to a halt. Reserves quickly ran dry. Car factories burned. Chaos lit up the sky. An uprising began. Sides were chosen. Allegiances made. They called it the Second Civil War. Now scavengers, we have to fight to stay in a land with no direction, no leaders, no government. This land once stood for peace. Now it's barely standing.
Okay, well, you're listening to GenreTainment, and this is Marx.
And Julie, and today we're talking with the creators of the series Drifter and Stage Fright.
Yep.
So if you can introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your shows.
I'm Brittany Greer. I co-wrote Stage Fright with Jason. Also did like acting, makeup effects, stuff like that in there. Also produced, and I also helped produce Drifter as well.
And I am Jason Brazier. I wrote, directed, and produced Drifter Broken Road, and I directed, co-wrote, and produced Stage Fright, and I also edited and did some music on that as well.
All right, guys, well, can you tell us a little bit about Drifter?
Well, Drifter is a post-apocalyptic western that takes place 5 years after a second civil war, and it's definitely got my two loves of westerns and science fiction definitely blended into one story. So that was a lot of fun to do that, but it's very much shot like a western because, you know, I tried to make it very relatable. It takes place in an alternate now. So when people watch it, and it's been interesting when people watch it because I think of it as science fiction, but people are like, "Oh, this is a cool drama." I'm like, "It's a drama," but it keeps getting put in like the drama here at LA Webfest. It's in a drama category, which is fantastic, but it weirds me out because my mind's always been science fiction, you know, because that's what it is to me. But it is a drama, science fiction drama. And then I have people telling me that it's a western. I'm like, well, yes and no. You know, it's both. It's just a unique story and a unique setting with all these different genres of trying to get blended together. I tried to like create a world where if this actually happened, I think this is what it would look like. I think we would go back to some of our old ways of doing things, except we'd have some newer stuff, obviously, to make that happen. So, I mean, that's Drifter in a nutshell. Drifter Broken Road is she befriends two people at a trading post along her trail, and trouble follows her there. So that's Drifter.
Stage Fright was a throwback to more like old school like horror films with not having as much like gore and like nudity and stuff like that. We were very, very much aware of what we were doing as far as that went. But I mean, too, it's a newlywed couple. They inherit a theater, and instead of going on a honeymoon, they decide to renovate this place. The lead, Lainey, is not wanting to do that at all. And once they get in there, they find out that it was way more than a free theater. It's pretty much a death trap. But when we did that, one of the things, like I said, we were really, really, really wanting to make like more of an old school thriller, to like be creepy and to be like, oh God, like if I was in there, like I wouldn't want to stay kind of feeling, instead of like a cover your eyes because it's like I can't see them like saw through a bone or something. So I mean, a lot of horror films have kind of come to that now,
They're just
and it's
gross
not
more than scary.
Yes. And it's just, what can we do to shock you? Like, what can we do to be like, oh, we one-upped this guy, or we one-upped that guy? And that's not what we like about horror films, because we both love horror films, and that has nothing to do.
We wanted to get back to the root of why did we like, what do we like about our horror movies? And when we did that, we came to the point of being like, okay, online, and we watched some online ones as well. And we decided, and I think it was a good choice, is that, we didn't want to do jump scares, because you don't know, in a theater it works.
Because it's loud.
It's loud.
And you're completely cut off from everything else, so that's what you're experiencing.
Yes. Yeah. But, with what we're doing, you could be watching it on your computer, your iPod, anywhere, and we don't know how you're listening to it. So I don't want to.
Barking, somebody's talking.
Yeah, you're not as focused, and it may scare you, it may not. And so we decided just to really just throw that out the door and just really crank up the creep factor with each episode and just make it creepier and creepier, and then get to the WTH moments of like, what the heck's going on? And so that was what we did. It's gotten a great response. We've actually started some debates between other people who love horror films because of how we ended it, which we won't say, obviously, so people can go watch it.
Coolest thing ever. I'm a huge Joss Whedon fan, huge Buffy fan.
Yay.
Yeah, good. Like, love the guy. He's favorite writer, director. I think he's fantastic. Coolest thing ever is the girls on Indie Inner Tube were discussing Stage Fright. And one of the things they said something about a Joss Whedon
type dialogue.
And like they went off on a rant about it, and I was like, life is complete.
That's
I was like, that's Joss Whedon. I was like, I'm done. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I think they also said that it kind of gave him a Silent Hill type. It reminded them kind of like how we did the sound and stuff. That was cool for me as a director, because John Carpenter is the guy who influenced me early on. So this was it was very nostalgic for me and Stage Fright, because I got to go back. I hadn't directed anything in the horror genre since I was in high school. So now we had the money, we were paying for prosthetics and effects. So I was just giddy as a
theater.
We rented an actual theater for a week. And so, I was just giddy as a schoolgirl, because I'm like watching them put the prosthetics on our characters. I'm just like, oh, I've been waiting for this since I was in high school.
Which is the biggest, and this has been the biggest project I've been a part of too. Like with Stage Fright, which was awesome. Because like you said, like prosthetics, and we got to use a blood spray gun, which was epically awesome.
Yeah.
Which was so cool to get sprayed in the face with. It was really fun.
Yeah, we worked with a guy who I've known for years, Mike Strain Jr., and his IMDb speaks for itself. He has done effects on everything. You can think of B movies, A movies. He does everything, and we've been wanting to work together for years, and finally we were able to get him for Stage Fright, and it was just a lot of fun. And he, and Brittany did some of the effects as well. Mike really focused a lot on the prosthetics and a lot of the on-set like blood spray effect, like we need something. But Brittany did a lot of effects as well for that.
And he was really amazing too, because there was a chest prosthetic I was doing, and I was kind of nervous about it, because I was like, oh God, if this looks horrible, it's all on me. That it looked bad and
no
fake.
Pressure or anything.
Yeah, that it looked bad and fake, and like a lot of the crew were kind of standing around like, ooh, what you doing? I'm like, like handshaking, like, well, I'm trying to make this look like this and that, and he walked up, and he's super nice and he's fantastic, and he's just like, well, hey, like, maybe put this color here, and he's like, do you care if I help? Which was awesome. And he was like kind of teaching me a few of his tricks, which is really cool, because like Jason was saying, like he's been in the business a long time, and he's worked with a lot of people, and like he's very respected in his business and what he does. So it was really cool that he was like, hey, like can I help you? Like, is it okay if I show you this? Yeah. So I was just like, yes, you may. Which was an awesome experience for me.
And another note that's really interesting is that the theater we shot in actually isn't there no more. We were the last thing that captured it on video, which we didn't know that until
like one of the
3 or 4 months later.
What was the name of the theater, and where was it?
It was the Vandevort Theater in Springfield, Missouri, and the theater had been there for years. in fact, I mean, they gave us a history lesson whenever we were there about it. But I guess as soon as we got done, they had like 3 more shows, and we found out that
they were going to renovate it out, and so
make it a hotel.
Yeah, so they had to find a different location because they did like plays and stuff there. So they had to find a different location entirely. So like all the stuff you see, like as far as like the props and stuff,
they're going to gut it and make it into something else. Yeah, and it was really cool because a lot of the actors who were in it have worked in that theater a lot, and so they really were happy to be a part of the project, captured it on camera, because we even got some behind the scenes footage, and we're actually putting together slowly as time comes along behind the scenes stuff so we can really show the theater and how we did things. But don't watch those first, because those are big spoilers. Watch the series first.
Might ruin something.
Yeah.
Drifter, Broken Road, and Stage Fright. Why did you make them web series versus trying to make a film, or try to pitch it as a TV series or something?
Well, we get this question a lot, and I think the easiest way to say it is that for me, I have been wanting to do online stuff since 2004. I saw a movie online, and I just said, you know what? This is a brilliant idea. Why isn't anybody doing a TV show online? And I came up to Missouri State, was trying to get people to do this with me. I had this whole idea. I was like, let's do like a Friends sitcom. We'll put it online and do this and that and whatever. And people were like, I don't want to do a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want to do a YouTube video. I want to do this. And then, of course, a couple of years later, Joss Whedon came out with Dr. Horrible, and everybody's like, hey, let's do web series. I'm like, I've been saying that for the last 2 years.
Like, it's such a good idea.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah, I'm like, I know.
You
but
needed Joss Whedon to legitimize it.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Which is fine.
Once,
it was fantastic.
Once he does it, it's gold.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's perfectly
to be
fine
fair,
for the rest.
even after Dr. Horrible, we were telling, okay, we're going to do a web series, and we found ourselves constantly going, okay, it's like a TV show, but it's on the computer.
Yeah.
And people just didn't seem to get it.
Yes.
But then by the time it came out, it was starting to be more common. Like when we first started filming, we had to keep repeating this over and over again. And then after we've released it, it's kind of gotten to where it's a little more.
I still have to explain it to people at work.
And I think that will start changing with time. And I think that where we're at right now with everybody doing stuff, I think the next step is for people to start teaming up on things, because everybody's doing their own thing, which is fine. Because I mean, we're still doing our own stuff too. But like, I think that what's going to make the big wigs, I don't know what else to call them, people who are watching this.
The suits.
Yeah, the suits.
Yeah.
And
that works too.
And I said it the other day in a panel, like, we're the ones taking all the risk of storytelling right now, and Hollywood's seeing that, and they're like, okay, we are seeing these web series being so popular, so they see it as a money-making opportunity. And I've seen some Hollywood produced stuff, and I'm just kind of, I've only seen a couple that I've really liked, and that was the Mortal Kombat one, and Halo's Forward into Dawn. Those were good, but I still feel like that they're missing the point of web series.
Do you think they try to play it too safe because they have more to lose?
Yes, I think they play it too safe, but at the same time, I think that they are still trying to just make it. They don't want to change anything, and that's the thing about doing a web series, is that you can do anything you want.
And I think they're trying to do it like films
and TV.
Like they're trying to do it like a television show, or they're trying to do it like a film.
They can't break away from that.
That like how that structure
Formula.
that they're so used to. Like, it's hard to, they're, it feels like, in some of the other web series we've seen, it feels like they shoot everything and then, chop it up. And, and that's something we've strived really hard not to do. Like, we want them to feel like this is this episode, this is this episode, and it has, an overall arc, true, like a normal television show would. But it feels different. Like, it doesn't feel like the same thing. And I don't think they've got that yet.
Yeah, well, and it's just because I see that a lot, and that's the thing that bugged me a lot about it, was that I think it's like she said, they lay it out in the timeline editing, and they just chop and say, okay, we'll end it here. And I just saw that so much, and I hated it because I felt like it was insulting to the audience. And a lot of people argue with me about it, saying, well, doesn't that make you want to see the next episode? It's just, no, it makes me angry.
They're trying to make the medium fit their formula instead of respecting the medium.
Yeah, and doing it
instead
differently.
Of switching it.
It's the opposite way.
And I think Joss Whedon did a really good job, because he's and a lot of people think, because I'll try to explain, a web series. I'm like, well, it's kind of like Dr. Horrible, However, Joss Whedon had
Minus
a
the musical
specific.
aspect.
Yeah, you don't have to have a musical every time. But like, I mean,
I want Drifter the musical.
yeah.
I actually do.
Next year.
I do want to do a musical sometime. I've always wanted to direct a
You
musical.
should do a sci-fi western horror musical.
Yes.
Hey, there you go.
Blood and singing. It's gonna be fabulous.
That should be the opening number. Blood and
singing.
It'll be great. It's gonna be the best thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
But like with Whedon, I think, and he's fabulous. But like I feel like he was just like, a lot of people think when you say, okay, it's kind of like Dr. Horrible, like how he set it up. So a lot of people are like, oh, so each thing needs to be 30 minutes. It's like, no. That's the beauty of web series. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever content you want, like, because you don't have ratings to worry about.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, if you want each episode to be 5 minutes, make each episode be 5 minutes. If you want them,
links?
yeah,
Yes.
if you want them to be 8 or 9 or 10, like, that's another thing I love about web series is you don't have to fit your story to a specific time frame like a television show does or a movie does. You can make the story flow into whatever it needs to flow into as far as time goes, which is beautiful. And like once again, I don't think they're grasping that yet.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting you mentioned, Dr. Horrible, because we watched it and then it played at one point on the CW.
Yes.
And I watched it on the CW, and it was so funny because it didn't seem to fit.
Yeah.
Like all the commercial breaks were weird, and it came in at odd times, and that's how I really realized at that moment was it really was made with the web in mind. Because it did not work with how the network was like, it has to fit in this time frame. We have to have this many commercial breaks, and they have to be this many minutes apart. And it just messed up the entire flow.
Yeah. Well, that's just like when people have asked us, hey, are you going to edit Drifter into a movie? And I'm like, no. And they're like, why? I'm like, that's not the point. I want you to watch our series, and if I think my approach and our approach has always been, we want people to look at any series we do and go, wow, that was a web series. And that's the point.
Yeah.
It
could be a movie, or it could be like a
It has the
television
same
show.
quality.
Yes, it has the same
But
quality.
it just is a different
It's
medium.
just,
Yes, and you can
exactly.
get anywhere you want. And, and right now the industry is still really young, and we're still all trying to find our footing. And of course, the big thing is how do you make money off of it? And there are ways to do it. You just gotta
you have to wait.
You have to find your niche and just work. It's not going to happen overnight.
I think LA Webfest is really helping though, because I mean we've met as we were talking earlier, like we've met so many people from like other countries, and it's just crazy. I mean, like from Britain, like Australia, like all these people from Canada and New Jersey, New York. We've met so many people, and it's so cool to see all these people that have the same thing in mind. And so I mean, it's there, and like I think like things like LA Webfest and like Hollywood stuff like that. Like I really think they're helping. Like kind of show and get it out more, because I mean honestly, like we were saying, like some people just don't understand like what a web series is, and like the more things like this grow and like the more things like this attract people from all around the world to it, I really think it's going to start helping. And like once, I mean this has been going on for like 4 years they said for LA Webfest, and it's our first time to be here, but I mean, it's just like only 4 years, and there's already so many like people involved with it. So it's just like, imagine what's going to happen in another 4 years.
Yes, exactly.
Like, and I think it's just going to take time, but I do think there's. I mean, Joss Whedon proved that there's a way to make money.
And
in
that scared. I think that's what scared a lot of people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because before the Avengers, I mean, he could have just went on and done his own online production stuff, and he would have been fine because he's got the fan base for it.
Yeah.
So. I honestly think that they gave him the Avengers and stuff to keep him busy, so they didn't lose him, and do that because he would be competition then.
Yeah.
And
well, because I mean, most of his fans have been following him since the early days of Buffy.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody who watched that, it was even the actors were like, people aren't Sarah Michelle Gellar fans or James Marsters fans nearly as much as they are Joss Whedon fans.
Yeah.
Even back in the early days, it was. The fans came out in droves for him.
He's a genius.
His vision.
I mean, he's a genius.
Exactly.
Like his storytelling.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
his dialogue.
and he does,
everything.
and it goes from the writing to the directing, and he casts really well.
Yes, he does. Yeah,
Very,
like Cabin in the Woods, like because once again we were talking about like we didn't want to do we didn't want to do with Stage Fright, like the blood and the gore and the nudity, but like how and like I'm usually not a fan of having nudity in something. Like I feel if it's necessary then fine, put it in there. Like if it feels necessary, then that doesn't bother me. If it feels like you're just doing it to do it, then I usually have issues. But like with Cabin in the Woods, I didn't have issues at all because like the story itself, I was like, this is amazing. Like,
it was just an over the top,
perfect.
It was the Lost Buffy episode, is what it felt like.
Yeah, that's
Wolf from the Heart.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like they were doing it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And I love it too because he has like his little Joss family. Like I love watching his movies and his television shows because I love to see who he brings in from other shows and
you can tell
does
he
it.
likes whenever he likes actors, he tries to bring them in for other stuff.
And I think that's great too because I think, which is what we're trying to do with people, is like I think he gives people chances, and then like once you do well, he's like he rewards you. He's like, okay, you've done well in this, like I'm gonna bring you back. Like I enjoy working with you, I want to bring you back. And he helps so many people. Like I mean that's another thing that we strive to do in Springfield is like try to give people opportunities to get their, like Jason always says, like to get your feet wet. Like if you haven't shot anything, doesn't mean you shouldn't ever get to shoot anything. You might as well get thrown in there and try it. You know,
there's only one way to learn.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, like, and it all comes back to just that. To answer, I guess the real thing to answer the question is the freedom of it all. Really, it comes down to that, and we're the ones taking all the risk of storytelling and trying to be the most creative. And I said in the panel earlier 2 days ago here at LA Webfest, I said Hollywood, we don't need them, they need us. And I'm not meaning that in a derogatory way. It's just that we're the ones right now who are, you know, taking the risks and trying to tell stories differently that they won't do. And I'd rather be a part of that. There was even an interview with Joss Whedon here a long time before the Avengers came out, and they were asking him because he has another web series he wants to do. I think it was called Wastelanders, which is funny because our company's American Wasteland Entertainment.
I was fine with it.
Yeah. So, but they were saying, well, why would you want to do that after doing the Avengers? And I'm going to misquote this terribly, probably. So if he ever listens to this, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
but
Joss.
I think he said something along the lines of that it's kind of like the punk rock of filmmaking right now, and you're a real rebel if you're like doing it. He said he'd rather be a part of something like that where you can have so much more creativity, pretty much is what he was getting at. And I think that's what it comes down to, and I think that's why you're seeing even just a lot of filmmakers trying to do it, because a lot of actors are getting discovered now doing it. Filmmakers, the guy who just directed the Evil Dead remake, he did a short film called Panic Attack, which is awesome. I saw that when it came out, and he had people arguing and fighting over him to get him to direct something for them here in Hollywood, you know, and then Sam Raimi got him to do Evil Dead, and I can't wait to see that, but because I love the original so much, and I love Sam Raimi. But you know, I think that's what it just comes down to. It's just there's just so much more freedom there. Not that there's not. I mean, you can write and do anything you want as a movie too. Don't get me wrong. But with the internet and doing things like, we've got another series we want to do, and we can't say what it is right now because we're still developing it. But we've got so much stuff that to go along with the series. That's just more than, you know, we've got the series itself, and then we're going to have all these other components that go with it that we've already lined out and know what we're going to do with it. And, you know, yeah, you can do that with a movie. You can. Merchandising, I love merchandising. But who doesn't with any of your favorite movies? But there's just something about on the internet with getting the interactivity of it. I think that's what people like the most of it.
And it reaches everybody.
Yeah.
Like with a short film, I think it's harder to get a short film out there. Like if you have a showing, for instance, if we had a showing in Springfield, Missouri, where we're from, like if we had a showing there, not many people could come to it. Like my family lives 3.5 hours away. My family couldn't drive necessarily, not all of them anyways, but like with being able to do things on the web, like it allows us to be able to stay like in our hometowns and shoot things and get things out here. Like that's why we're at LA. Like, you know, we got to stay in Missouri and do what we wanted to do and shoot what we wanted to shoot. And then come out to LA to show it. And it's the same thing. It's like my family gets to see everything I do because I can give them a link.
Yeah.
You know, like
click here.
Yes, yeah, like that's all you have to do.
Yes.
Type in this web address,
Yeah.
click the first episode and go. which is awesome. Like, you don't have to worry about, once again, it's the freedom. Like, you don't have to worry about, like, well, when can we have a showing that everybody can come to? Oh, you can just watch it whenever you're free. Like, if you have a free minute at work, you're on a break, go ahead and play the first episode, which is another thing that I think is amazing about web series, is it doesn't constrict you in what you're able to do as far as showings.
To bed and then, you know, watch an episode.
Yeah, you don't have to find a babysitter. You don't have to
you don't
wait
have to be
go
right
out.
there. You don't have to either remember to record it or be there when it's playing.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just, I've got my phone on me.
And if you really just think about it, we've made a big dent in the entertainment industry, because now you've got all the big wigs and guys upstairs going, okay, why is this such a big phenomenon? Why is this working? And I think that that's what we're doing something. And I think that, you know, we just need to continue working on that, team up on things.
Which would be fun. There's a lot of people here we'd like to work with.
Yes, and
a lot of people.
You know, and you know what? And I will say this, because I think everybody should know it besides us. With the way the internet's going, I don't think you have to be. We don't have to be in Britain to produce something. With how web series is right now, we could do a lot of stuff on one end and work with the other people to film it somewhere else in another country. Yeah. You know, I think that's the next step. Nobody's teaming up. And I think that that's what's going to be the next step in getting the industry further, is really trying to team up on things and do series. And not just do any series. Like, I would love to do some really dramatic stuff. Like, I love period pieces. One of my favorite movies of all time is Dr. Zhivago. That's a long movie. And I love that this old school period storytelling. You know, that's why I like a lot of Hammer horror movies, is because I love the period piece stuff of that, and that's why I love westerns. I just love stuff that's in a different time, and I would love to do some dramatic stuff like that. You know, and then Brittany, we've got a stack of stuff that we would love to do, but we're saving it for that right moment, because, you know, right now, if I went out and did a Mark Twain story, that's not going to get a lot of...
We don't have a Mark Twain
story. We don't.
That's just an abstract, I promise. We don't have a Mark Twain story.
That was an abstract.
Mark Twain, Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, that's exactly. Joss Whedon as Mark Twain.
Oh, gosh. No, I was just pulling something out of the air there. I don't know, just some story, you know, because you got to, you know, it's just not time for that just yet. But, you know, but there are a lot of different people that are doing different things that, you know, I'm just like, I see these other web series, like, oh man, if these people and these people got together and, like, I mean, still keep doing their show.
Dream team.
And came together and just did something, it would advance everything for us all.
And everybody's so willing for that too. Like, everybody's so awesome that we've met here. Like, which it's not that I didn't expect them to be, but you know, so many times people don't necessarily. I don't want to say like share like trade secrets, I guess. Yeah. But like, they're like very willing. Like, because one of the big things with web series is, because I mean, everybody that's doing it, most everybody that's doing it are independent people, and money is usually an issue with that. Yeah. And so a lot of the first questions you have for somebody is like, that looks so professional, like, where did you shoot, how did you raise your money? And so it's kind of cool, because everyone's like, oh, I can tell you what I did, like, I did this, and then that guy over there said he did this. And so everybody's so willing to help on that front. Like, and everybody that we've mentioned to a couple of people, like, how cool it would be to work with them, and they're like, yeah, like, you should come here, or we'll come there, or you just send us stuff. So it's really cool that everyone's so willing to help, and you might as well, because it's like, we're technically, as a web series community, we're kind of all in it together. Like, if one of your people in your group made it, it's like, I worked with them, I helped them get to that step, they did it, so can we. So I mean, that's another thing that's just fabulous with it. But
there's a real spirit of cooperation with the web community.
Yeah, it is. It's nice too, and I think it's because it's so young. Like, it's still a very young thing that's happening.
And we're going, you know, everybody here, you know, at the festival and just out there making series, they're, you know, we're all helping mold what the industry's going to look like 4 years from now. You know,
one of the girls, Suzette, that's here, she's fabulous. She's from Canada. She's been like promoting people. Like, she's amazing. Like, she's like, what time's your show? Okay, hey, like, like you over there, like I met you yesterday. You should come to this showing with us. Like, so she's like grabbing other people. Like she's like, give me your card. Like handing our cards to people. Like you should come to this showing. Like you guys come to mine, I'll come to yours. We'll get this guy. So it's just really cool because you would assume that people would be like, I'm not going to your showing. Like I'm going to my showing. Yeah. But like they're like, oh no, like I've got a panel. As soon as my panel's done, like I'll hop in your show, which is so cool. And it's really nice and like liberating. Yeah. To know that people are so willing to help and like are being so nice with us. It's awesome. I love it.
Okay, where can people find you guys on the web?
They can go to drifterseries.com to watch Drifter. And then if you want to watch Stage Fright, you go to AmericanWastelandEnt.com/Stage Fright.
And what can we expect next from you guys?
That you can tell us.
That you can tell us. And will Mark Twain be in it?
I swear there's never going to be a Mark Twain
project now.
Watch, like we're going to get home and be like, hey, you know what, that Mark Twain idea? I think we should go back to that. I really think...
See, y'all in the right place for
it. I really think we should rethink that Mark Twain vampire thing. Yeah. Like, I really like it.
You know, I've got a strong feeling that he'd be more with the zombies.
Yes.
I'm feeling very strongly about Mark Twain with zombies for some reason.
I would be fine with zombies.
I'm a Walking Dead lack of sleep.
But maybe the lack of sleep
sounded
is
like
why.
A really workable idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the lack of sleep is probably why I'm so agreeable to it. Like that it's such a good idea.
True.
I'm gonna write some stuff down.
Next for us, we are trying. We've written the series 2 of Drifter,
which is epic. By
yeah,
the way.
It goes.
I helped.
More.
We co-wrote it, and so I'm not being biased. Like we've had a few of other crew members read it. I'm telling you, it's epic. It's gonna be really great.
It's going a little darker. The best way I could categorize it is going to be more of a dark Western type thriller set in this post-apocalyptic world, and we
call it a sci-fi Western.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's how I tried calling.
Like.
I started calling it a sci-fi Western, and I had to stop calling it that because everybody said, "Oh, there's no laser guns. I don't see any sci-fi." I'm like, so and I started hearing that, so I had to start telling people it's post-apocalyptic or dystopian Western, and because that made more sense to them for some reason, which is fine, but so I just works. Yeah, and so the next one will be a little darker and a little more
dystopian.
Yes, yeah, it's a little darker. We have some fun. We have created some fun characters. Oh yeah, there's one that we're really looking forward to casting.
She's my favorite.
Oh yeah,
it's a girl, and she's my favorite. Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to do, and it's actually as soon as we get back from the festival, we're gonna, after recovering a few days, we're going to start trying to get the fundraising for that and getting the casting going, and just start that whole process for that and get that shot. Hopefully in the summer. Sometimes what we're aiming for, but we'll see.
Well, keep us updated.
Oh, don't worry. We're gonna
definitely. And we have another project we were saying earlier. We can't really say anything about it, but we do have another.
Well, I think you've let the cat out of the Mark Twain bag.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're not going to show anybody this, right? Like no one's going to know about the Mark Twain thing. Because I need to get that copyrighted quick.
Yeah.
If you guys are going to put this up right away. But yeah, we do have another one that's going to be another episodic type thing, like how Drifter is. With Stage Fright, it's more of a we feel we could do more things with it, but
we have an idea
now,
but
we feel like it's more of a just like this is
it's a mini-series.
The mini-series, and that's it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But we do have another one that is going to be more how Drifter is as far as episodic into other seasons and stuff like that. So, that's another thing that we're working on right now.
And then we've got, like I said, we've got a plethora of ideas. I've got another sci-fi drama that I'd like to do. I came up with, and it's a really good story, and it's kind of, it's one of those old school, it reminds me of an old school sci-fi tale that you saw in the 60s and stuff like Fahrenheit 451, one of those films that makes you think.
That's my favorite book, I think. It's one of them. I absolutely love Fahrenheit 451.
Fahrenheit 451.
Sleep.
It's after midnight, just so you know.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Not even for sure. Like no one at the festival knows either. We're like, wait, today's Saturday? No.
Yeah.
Today's Thursday.
No,
today's Thursday. What?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I think it's Friday. Yeah. Yeah, no, just because everybody's like staying up late, going to all these different showings, and you're going to all these different panels, like it's like keeping track of time, let alone a day, is silly.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for talking with us, and good luck
Keep us
with.
updated and good luck on all your projects.
Thanks
you.
for talking to us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ben Days, executive producer of 8 and 5, the web series, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
Special thanks to everyone for taking the time to chat with us, and we wish all of their shows luck, and we do look forward to speaking with them again.
So that's it for today's GenreTainment. Check back next week with all new guests from our favorite films, TV shows, novels, and web series.
And don't forget, Part 2 will be on this Thursday, and we'll be interviewing more awesome creators, such as the minds behind the New York-produced superhero comedy Super Knocked Up, the LA-based KATR Pictures, who talked to us about their new comedy series, The Ladies The Gents, and that did just premiere today, like Marx had mentioned. Also the superhero series Justice Woman and the Vancouver comedy Last Chance Casting.
And coming up next week, we have more web series coverage, this time not at LA Webfest, but over the phone with Lisa Dean, the creator of the animated series Chilltown TV. Also the producer and director of the Point of View action web series Armed Response on the YouTube channel Hard Coded. And as if that wasn't enough, we will also have the creative minds behind the new science fiction YouTube channel Forge Apollo.
And don't forget, you can always check out all of our past episodes of GenreTainment in the archives at sci-fi-pulseradio.com. And you can also check out the other great shows on this channel, like SFP Now, The Roundtable, and Jeff Trek. And please share, like, and comment on all of our episodes to show us that you want more.
GenreTainment will be back right here on this channel this Thursday with Part 2. Big thanks from us to all of you out there for listening to us. Until next time.